Party submitted a motion to censure Godongwane for what it calls the mishandling of the budget process. To tell us about that, we are joined by MK Party Member of Parliament as well as member of the Standing Committee on Finance. Mr. Molefe joins us this evening. Mr. Molefe, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This move by the MK Party that says that you have very little confidence in the work of the Finance Minister in getting us through this budget process. A motion of censure, what would that achieve and why was it something for you to pursue?
Good evening. The crisis in South Africa at the moment is a crisis of unemployment. People just don't have jobs. People are unemployed. And for the government of national unity to play with the lives of people by failing to pass a budget 2 times and now going for a 3rd attempt is just gimmicks and it's playing. So as a result of that, we as the Umkhonto Party have sent a motion to the Speaker to censure the Minister of Finance for mishandling the budget process. It's not just the Minister of Finance, it's also the Government of National Unity. And so on the 6th of June, the motion will be debated in the National Assembly plenary. And I think that the week after that, it will be sent again to the National Assembly to be considered again, because we feel that in the light of the crises that we have, unemployment, extreme poverty and inequality, that it was incompetence on the part of the Government of National Unity to fail to pass the budget the first time around, and to come with an idea such as the aborted VAT, which was not going to work in the first place, was the highest act of irresponsibility that they could have undertaken.
Yeah, I don't want to take for granted that our viewers know the jargon here. What would a motion of censure actually do?
A motion of censure would basically be saying that, Minister, because you have been incompetent, you have been unable to pass the budget 2 times. Parliament sort of points a finger at you and warns you and says that, look, you have not acted in the best interest of the country. You have shown gross incompetence or gross negligence. It's like a verbal warning.
Okay.
But it is very deep because once the motion of censure has been passed by Parliament, it would lay the foundation for the President to remove the Minister of Finance. And if the President fails to remove the Minister of Finance after a motion of censure has been passed, then we would follow it up with a motion of no confidence in the President for dereliction of duty.
Okay, so I want to get into the other issues that the MK Party has raised, one of them being that it is with some contention that on a day when this budget is being, put down, that, I mean, what you make of the fact that the President is away on Wednesday?
It is very unfortunate, and it just shows that the President does not take the issue of the passing of the budget on which the country's, the lifeline of the country, which is a lifeline for the country to deal with its problems of unemployment, of poverty, of inequality, of lack of service delivery, of funding, grants, of making sure that public service salaries are paid and so on. The President has left the country when the country is in the middle of a crisis. At the moment, we are sitting with the failure to pass the budget, and we are now into the new financial year without a budget. And we have been in the new financial year for 1 month and 21 days. By Wednesday, it will be 1 month and 21 days. And for the President to leave the country to go to America, of all places, when we have such a big problem that the budget has not been passed, that we are approaching the 2nd month without a budget into the new financial year, when we face such serious economic problems in South Africa that require a budget that is an appropriate budget to deal with our economic woes to deal with the problems of unemployment, as I said, and inequality and poverty, that the president and several other ministers will be out of the country when we deal with such an important matter in the life of the economy of South Africa. So we think that it is very unfortunate, it is indeed very irresponsible, and we would like, as Parliament, to reflect on this at some point in the future.
I mean, there is the argument that with the president in the US on Wednesday, that being important for our economy and certainly what we're able to generate for the country, especially with our trade relations with the US, and you can respond to that. But I want to also look at this issue, the Umkhonto weSizwe party having made a request for a forensic audit into the aborted 2025 national budget speech. You've talked about just how much that has cost the taxpayer.
Indeed. We think that the visit to the United States could have been undertaken at another time, maybe next week or week after next. We don't think that it was so urgent that the president could set aside the time to come and be part of passing the budget and resolving problems with the ministers. The entire cabinet needs to sit around the table with the National Assembly to look into the matter of the budget and to see if there is indeed a budget that is acceptable, that can be put forward for people. The country is basically operating under special laws now, because we don't have a budget that has been passed. As I say, on Wednesday we will be 1 month and 21 days without a budget, into the new financial year without a budget. And this will continue beyond the end of this month and possibly into June and maybe even July, because the budget won't be passed on Wednesday. So this is a big crisis that required the president's attention and the ministers that have left with it.
So let me get this straight. You believe that on Wednesday the budget that will be presented will not pass the muster of National Assembly members?
Not on Wednesday. On Wednesday the budget will be presented.
Yes.
And then next week we will debate it in the Finance Committee. And then the Finance Committee will come back to the National Assembly to consider the fiscal framework and the report on the fiscal framework. And then we will still have, even before then, the public participation process and so on. So on Wednesday, the minister is just presenting the budget,
right,
and giving us the budget documents and then retreating. And then we will consider it.
Yeah, and but and I think the question, Mr. Molefe, is yes, of course, the budget will be presented on Wednesday. But even after that budget is presented, there is a sense of where political parties in the National Assembly will be leaning either towards it or against it. So I'm keen to hear if you believe that that is going to be a concern, that we may very well not see 3.0 being passed. And perhaps maybe what we should do is say, what is it that the MK party feels the finance minister should and is going to say about the 75 billion rand revenue gap that he's got now with the VAT hike off the table?
South Africa cannot afford an austerity budget at the moment. And so we don't think that the minister trying to close that gap by cutting expenditure is going to cut it. And we will certainly be very much against it. We are very interested to see what he is planning to do, but we are unlikely to support any budget that has a deep cut in social spending and in spending that will improve the lives of people, that will relieve the burden of unemployment and the burden of poverty in South Africa. We will not be party to that, the shenanigan of continuing with a budget that introduces cuts that burden and harden the lives of South Africans further. Especially poor people. Our concern is the poor and the impact of the budget on the poor. So if it is unlikely to be a pro-poor budget, because the minister himself has said the only way he can close that gap is by cutting expenditure and making it an austerity budget.